Good morning, everyone. On Wednesday, December 11, 2019, at approximately 8:08 p.m., the Toronto Police Service Communications Department received a number of 911 calls for the sound of gunshots in the Sparrowways residential complex, which, for those that aren't aware, is in the Leslie and Finch area. Uniformed officers arrived on scene and located a male in medical distress, suffering from obvious gunshot wounds. He was unfortunately pronounced dead at the scene, and that male has now been identified as you already know, as Jeremy Urbina, 22 years old, a resident of the residential complex. Mr. Urbina was a second-year student of the integrated media program at OCAD, and he lived in that area with his parents. He was, on that fateful night, unfortunately, doing what all of us do regularly, just taking garbage out when this unfortunate incident happened to him. We've interviewed a number of people, and we've also obtained a great deal of security video from around that area, including the residential complex. And this is what we've learned so far. At approximately 8:01 p.m., the suspects are captured on security video entering the residential complex of the Sparrowways, and they are seen casually walking in and around this complex for a total of almost 6 minutes. At approximately 8:07 p.m., we've captured an image of Mr. Urbina, as I've already described, exiting his building, going to a nearby dumpster and getting rid of trash. He then leaves the area and appears to be returning to his complex when a suspect comes up on him from behind, out of nowhere, and immediately begins to discharge a firearm in his general direction. There is absolutely no interaction with Mr. Urbina and the shooter, and as soon as this discharge of firearm occurs, the shooting suspect leaves the area with the second suspect that were seen together, and they flee on foot from the complex. We can't say with certainty where they went, which is exactly why we're asking for the public's assistance in attempting to identify these individuals, and more importantly, let us know where they came from and where they went to. Mr. Urbina has absolutely no history with the Toronto Police Service, and given what we've observed on the video alone, it suggests to us, it's our investigative belief, that these two individuals, whoever they are, were there possibly to look for some particular individual, or even more disturbing, they could have been in the area, just in that area, looking for anyone who happened to be there. And unfortunately, Mr. Urbina is the victim of what appears to be an opportunistic killing. This, ladies and gentlemen, appears as though a human being was hunting another human being. This is how this plays out. And so we were appealing to everyone that is watching this right now to take a look at the images of these two people that are captured on security video that night. It would be surprising for me if someone is not able to identify the person that you now see in the pink or light-colored covering over their face. And there are two images, one we see from the front and one we see from the side. The side profile combined with the front facial look image that we see, in my mind, if you know this person, if you are a parent, if you are a relative, if you are a sibling, if you are a close associate, I would be shocked and surprised if you do not know who this person is. Right now, I consider both of these people to be parties to this offense. I can say conclusively that there is one shooter involved, but I know that two people came together and one person decided to take the life of another individual, specifically Mr. Urbina. We are relying on the assistance of the public to help us locate, identify, and apprehend these two individuals, because this was nothing short of being callous, cowardly, and evil incarnate. Mr. Urbina did not see this coming. Mr. Urbina has no history with us, and the reasons why these individuals may have done that matters not. The fact that they were prepared to do this is what's most disturbing and alarming, and they have to be located. Subject to any questions, that's our appeal.
Are you able to say which of these two suspects was the gunman?
I'm able to say that, but I'm not going to say that. That's part of our investigative holdback. The two amongst each other clearly know which one was the shooter, so the non-shooter has an opportunity right now to contact us and let us know that if they knew or they had no idea that this is what was going on, now would be the appropriate time to get a hold of a lawyer and let us know that. Because in the absence of any explanation why this second person was with the shooter, I can tell you that we consider that person a party to the offense. On top of that, as our investigation unfolds, if we learn that someone has transported these individuals there or transported them away from there, they too will be considered a party to the offense. And lastly, anyone that aids, assists, or harbors either one of these two with regard to this incident, they will face a charge of accessory after the fact for murder. This is one of the most callous killings I've ever witnessed in this office. And the fact that they were skulking around that neighborhood for up to 6 minutes for unknown reasons is most disturbing. But the fact that they're still out there is very, very concerning. And obviously, we take it very seriously, and we want the community at hand to take it seriously and do what we can to identify and apprehend these people.
When you say this is an opportunistic killing, are you suggesting that they were just looking for the first person they saw and then they discharged their flight? This was just a matter of, let's just shoot up this neighborhood and send a message. Is this like one of those killings?
So that's exactly what we believe. And the reason I say that was the length of time that these individuals were in this complex. In the absence of a narrative that we know that they were there specifically looking for an intended target and did not locate that intended target, then we have to draw an inference of what may have occurred on that night. To have someone walk around an area like that for that length of time, it's not something that we see often. I think we've all seen reports of shootings and drive-by shootings where individuals roll up, they maybe throw their gun out the window and shoot and then drive off, or someone gets out of the car and drives away. This was not that case at all. So when I say opportunistic, unfortunate for Mr. Urbina that he exited his building at that time, because based on what we've seen and based on the lack of interaction, it's my investigative belief that the shooters would not have known who this person was, and certainly Mr. Urbina would not have seen them coming up from behind.
Looking at the history of this neighborhood, of this community, has there been recent violence there that could lead you to believe that maybe this is a retaliatory shooting?
Well, again, that's the unknown that we're not aware of right now, so I don't want to speculate whether there was a prior history with someone. If that forms part of the narrative, that's what we want to find out as well. If people who live in and around that area are aware that, oh, by the way, there were other shootings that were never reported, we need to hear about that as well, because that may be the link that allows us to go to a certain area of the city or west of the city. I'm not saying it's Toronto proper. It could be Peel. It could be somewhere else. But we need that connect to say this is why it happened. We don't have that yet, and that's what we need right now.
How many shots were fired, do you know? Or will you tell us?
I use the term hunting by design because that's what this was, and I certainly don't want to upset the family, but Mr. Urbina was struck double digits.
So more than 10 times.
Double digits is yes. I won't say the exact number, but you can imagine when I say double digits, that obviously is a lot.
I have spoken with the division who says that this community housing complex has seen 5 shootings in the last 18 months alone. How big of a part does that play in this investigation? Do you think that this could form?
So obviously we look into that, but unfortunately with a lot of these shootings, as I've already described, people come from other areas, unload their firearms, and then drive off. So what I need right now, what our investigative team needs right now is these people to be identified. That's the first thing. And when we identify them, then we go backwards. Okay, where are they from? Are they from a specific geographic location that would suggest that there was a previous back and forth? I don't know. We're open to everything, but for us, the big thing is to identify them and, more importantly, get them off the street.
So they're wandering around in the laundry area.
Yes.
And they were wandering in other areas of the complex, you think? But the
So-
shooting actually happened outside.
Yes, so for 6 minutes, we have images of them walking the exterior of the common areas that anyone would be traversing or walking through, and then they do gain access to a common laundromat that is used by all the residences in that area. So they were able to make their way in there and then exit that. And it is at that time proximate to exiting that Mr. Urbina becomes a victim. So when I say that it would be highly unlikely that they would have known who he is or what he was, it was a fairly cold evening, and he was dressed in such a way that you wouldn't have known who this person was anyways. And so when I say opportunistic, I say it would be highly doubtful that they would have been looking for Mr. Urbina, and they may in fact have been looking for someone else, and after 5 or 6 minutes, decided that there's a potential target, or they were just looking for anyone that they may have come across.
Why identify these suspects? Why not release a video of how they walk or perhaps act? Are you able to do that?
So part of our investigative procedure, as everyone can probably understand, is that we have to hold on to what we call holdback. In the event that we're able to identify and arrest and charge these people, we cannot be given the whole case out right now. And some of those things with regards to walking and gait, that's something that I may consider down the road, but the first step in my mind is to do what we're doing here. And again, I'll repeat what I've already said. I would be shocked and surprised if someone does not know who the person is with that pink covering over their face. With the front shot and the profile that you see, I would think that if this person is related to you, you're going to know right away, oh yeah, that is so-and-so. And by association, the person that we see that is taking great lengths to conceal their identification, someone might be able to say by build and dress that is likely so-and-so. That's a starting point for us.
Insane law, Terry, if you're saying this is the most callous killing you have ever seen. Like, how many years' experience do you have?
I've been in the homicide squad for 16 years now, and I've probably seen everything that human beings can do to each other, but I've never seen someone actually appear to look around to actually hunt down another human being. And I will use that term because that's how it presents. That's exactly what it looks like in my eyes, what these two individuals were up to, in the absence of something else. And again, you're seeing pictures of Mr. Urbina, a full life ahead of him, studying interactive media studies at OCAD, loved by all, and just happened to be throwing his garbage out at that time, at that moment. 2 minutes earlier, 2 minutes later, he's likely not a victim.
Can you guess at the age? The one guy looks young. Do you have an estimate as to how old they are?
So here's what I don't want to do, and that's by design. I do not want to give you what I feel people are or are not. I want everyone looking at this to draw their own conclusions. I think we can all conclude that these are not elderly people. They do not appear to be very old at all. But I don't want you to leave here thinking I'm looking for someone from 14 to 17. But I would say unequivocally that the person's face that we can see appears young, and I would suspect that the person beside him is young as well. And we'll leave it at that. Okay, so thank you for your attendance, and the message is twofold. Mr. Urbina, family grieves. This was a ridiculous, violent, evil act, and we as a community, everyone has to do their part to identify these individuals and get them off the street. Thank you for your time and attendance.